everybody, and welcome to Scrapbook Cards Today. I'm Allison Cope, and I'm your hostess today for Card Cafe Thursday. Today we are going to make a cute and super easy spinner card. And my spinner card is based off of this card here, featuring stamps from Kraftin Kimmie. And we're going to make something very similar with the same working mechanism underneath. Let's get started. So I am going to quickly share with you how I colored my image today. I took inspiration from my already prepared card front from all the rainbow waves on our pattern paper, and we're going to use the cute little swimmer from Keep Swimming stamp set from Kraftin Kimmie Stamps. And so I've pulled all the corresponding colors from the waves in my Copic markers, and we're going to get started. Now, of course, I'm not going to use all these colors, but it's at least going to give me a starting point. Enjoy! There she is, all colored up. I'm going to fussy cut her out for the use on our card. We have completely colored our little swimmer image from Kraftin Kimmie, and now we're going to get her a sentiment and a working wheel to make sure that she spins around. So I've already stamped our greeting on a larger circle, and for your working parts of your spinner card, you're going to need to grab that concentric circle die set. This one is from My Favorite Things, and I really like it. I like the stitching aspect around the edge. And you need a larger element with your sentiment to begin with, and then you need some smaller elements. You need a circle that hides in behind, so you need something that's a little bit smaller than your sentiment. Then you need to take a smaller central circle, which is this little die, which is part of those concentric circles. And you need a few of these die cut out. So you need a single die cut out of the center of your smaller circle. This will become your working wheel. I'm going to call it the donut piece for obvious reasons. And then you need a few of these donut holes. Okay, so let me show you kind of positioning here, and this is something you're going to have to play with a little bit. So our little girl needs to obviously sit within the confines of the card. Now this width is a little bit less than an A2 card, or a little bit less than 4 1/4. So I want to make sure that wherever she kind of sits, and the angle that she sits at, let's say the top, because that's where I want to start her off, is enough room to show that sentiment, because when she moves, she's going to just hike around our circle. But I want to make sure that at least at the top, there is enough room to see that entire sentiment, and she looks like she's in the correct positioning. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my pencil and help myself out a bit here. And I'm going to kind of mark my circle. This, if you do it nice and light, can erase this. We're going to put her up here for a bit. So I've got the gist of where my sentiment is going to be. Now this is going to help me in positioning this aspect, our donut. Okay, so our donut is our moving part. What we want to do is we want to center it within that penciled circle. And we're then going to take all of our donut holes and we're going to actually adhere them all together so they become a great thickness. So use a nice, sturdy, hefty adhesive. I'm going to use my Scrapbook tape or Suang tape. And I'm going to make a little sandwich of all three. I'm going to go do that and we'll be right back. Alright, so I've taken my Suang tape here. And I have layered all three of my little donut holes together. So it's a donut hole sandwich. And I have a little bit of adhesive backed on to the back of my donut holes. I'm going to double check that my wheel is nicely centered within that pencil line. I'm going to peel off the backer that I trimmed to make sure that it didn't hang. You can't have any adhesive outside of that circle. Okay, you could also use foam to actually die cut a piece of foam that's a little bit thicker and use that instead of using your sandwich. But you know what? I want you to be able to do it using the stuff that you already have, and you guys all have cardstock. I also chose a heavyweight cardstock for this mechanism so that it stands up to the abuse that it's going to get to. So it's 110-pound cardstock. So I've now pressed it. It is now adhered to the back. So this, our little donut, can actually come off. So this never gets adhered down. Make sure there's no adhesive on the back. And of course, with these moving parts and these parts underneath, you will never see them. So use your scraps. I'm going to take a moment and erase our line, and then we'll get putting everything together. Okay, so the next part that we need is we need a strip of heavy-duty paper again. And what's going to happen is this little stick is going to be attached to our donut, and our little swimmer is actually going to be attached from underneath. So this, as the donut moves, she moves. Now, when we go back to positioning this, she is going to be positioned on top and over top of this piece. So the first thing to do would be to attach this piece to the donut. So I've applied my adhesive to that strip, and we are going to put it down here, but I just want to make sure where to trim it. So we're going to trim it about here. Once again, you can use scrap for all of this, seeing as it's going to be tucked underneath and not visible. So we'll position our stick, and remember, your adhesive cannot go past this. See how my adhesive is stuck past? Suang tape is a little bit forgiving, so I'll just tuck it underneath. So make sure you don't have any adhesive sticking out underneath. Otherwise it'll get stuck and won't move. Okay, so we have our little stick. Now the other thing that I've done is I've added a piece of adhesive to the top of our little donut hole there. I haven't taken the backer off yet, but it's there and ready to go. The next thing I need is I need a little bit of a bump up. So I have a little piece of foam tape that we're going to adhere to the very end of our stick. And we're going to actually put this on first. And I fear that this is too long, so I'm actually just going to trim it off just a touch more, just to make sure that it's not going to interfere with our sentiment. Okay, so the next thing, we've got our foam tape, we've got our stick attached. We need to take the adhesive off of this spot. And what we're going to try and do is center this so it sticks on our donut hole here. I'm going to very carefully, crossing my fingers, that we've got it relatively centered, and give it a push. Okay, and that's what holds our sentiment in place. Now I'm going to take the backer paper off, and we're going to stick her down. So that little band actually gets hidden. And here's the fun part of the card. See, with our donut not being attached, we have an actual swimmer. Isn't that cute? All right, I'll be back with the very, very final card. And here's our final card. We have our little swimmer, and behind her I just used a tone-on-tone effect with some little bubbles in the same stamp set as our greeting. And so it looks like she's blowing bubbles as she's doing her circles. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you give this type of project a try. It's really fun and it's relatively easy. And I will have a list of supplies on the bottom of the page over on the Scrapbook and Cards Today blog. Happy creating!